The concept of fairies has a rich and varied history rooted in folklore and mythology from different cultures. The idea of small, supernatural beings with magical powers dates back to ancient civilizations like ancient Greece with nymphs, or in Celtic mythology, the Tuatha Dé Danann of ancient Ireland. During the medieval period, fairies were often depicted as these tiny, ethereal beings dwelling in forests and in nature. They were associated with both benevolent and mischievous behavior.
Finally! Been trapped in that coffin with no one but a mad rider and my own farts for company.
The Victorian era saw a resurgence of interest in folklore where fairy tales became popular, such as what we know now as Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and Peter Pan. Different cultures have their own interpretations of fairy-like beings. In Japan, there are creatures like the Osei, or Kijimuna of Okinawa, kobolds of Germanic mythology, or jinn, or as some Westerners may say, genies, of Arabian folklore. The concept of fairies has proven to be a versatile and continuous aspect of human imagination, adapting to cultural shifts and continuing to move us in various forms of storytelling and artistic expression. The following fragrances are ones that to me help convey that feeling of magic that fairies embody. Is it giving fairy or is it giving elf princess? Dark fairy? Good fairy. This video I've been kind of working on for many months now. When I was looking for scents for this video, I really wanted things that maybe had a green facet, maybe a woody facet, but also had something that made it surprising or magical. It's kind of hard to explain, but hopefully once I go through all these fragrances, maybe you'll see what I was trying to do. So the first one on my list is Aura by Mugler. I'm pretty sure this scent is what inspired this video because I smelled this first in an airport last year and I immediately fell in love with it. I fell in love with the bottle. I fell in love with the scent. It's not like anything I've ever smelled before. It's green, but it's not a sweet green, although there's like a creamy softness to it. It's got like a vanilla wood base underneath the greenness, which I feel like that green facet is what makes it very fairy-like. You think of the forest and the wood, but then you've got something soft, something to make it a bit unreal with the vanilla. And I feel like that's what it's doing in the scent. It's that magical facet. So first of all, I think this scent fits the theme twofold. One, look at the bottle. I mean, the bottle alone is like something you'd find in Legend of Zelda, right? Okay. But the scent, you've got top notes of rhubarb leaf and bergamot, middle notes of green, orange blossom, lang lang, pear, base notes of bourbon vanilla, wood, amberwood, sandalwood, coumarin. There is a little bit of sweetness from maybe the pear. It's not candy sweet. It's a very fresh, delicate sweetness. And I guess maybe that's what I think of when I think of like a fairy or like what maybe a fairy would smell like. Something, if there's a sweetness, it's very delicate. It's very soft. It's not too overbearing. It's maybe a little bit tart. And with this, it's the perfect balance of a realistic greenness without being too bitter. You've got like a tiny bit of warmth and edge from the wood and the vanilla, but it's not too much, just enough to make it soft. I really love Aura. I fell in love with it as soon as I smelled it. I'm obsessed with the bottle. Yeah, I think that this one it's just perfect. It's what a fairy would smell like. The next one I have on my list is Neon Rose by Floral Street. In this one, you've got top notes of apple blossom, bergamot, cassis, and pepper. Middle notes of rose, Egyptian jasmine, cyclamen, angelica, juniper berries. Base notes of peach, white cedar extract, and amber. This is like a super hyper fairy. It is truly, I think the name describes it so well. There is like a neon quality to it. It's not, for me, it's not sharp. There's still a greenness. There is like maybe like a spicy greenness to it, but it's enveloped in a little bit of the floral and the rose. There's a tiny little bit of sweetness, as you would expect from a fairy. And I actually like the pepper in this one. I don't often like very forward pepper notes in fragrances, but I think the one in this is done really well. It's just coming across more green than spicy. This one is, again, another light, delicate, hyper. It's like a hyper scent. It's like young, and maybe she's mischievous for sure. She's mischievous. She gets into trouble, but she doesn't do it purposefully. Maybe she doesn't know how to control her powers. I don't know. All right, the next one on my list is Morning After by Who Is Elijah. This is the boss fairy. This is very heady, strong wood. There's like something that dulls it at the top. There's like a powderiness that dulls it at the top and makes it very magical. There's something magical about it and so uncanny about how the wood smells in this. It's almost teetering on leather, but it's like more realistic of a wood. It's like a very, very freshly cut wood. In this one, you've got top notes of cardamom and violet, middle notes of iris and papyrus. Iris, I can't lie, I always love a good iris. Base notes of Australian sandalwood, musk, leather, amber, and cedar. This is a fairy she's been around, she knows the ropes, she's the one trying to keep everyone in check. There's just something so special about the wood in this. I think the iris really makes the wood very soft, and it's like soft but fresh. It's so hard to explain, but I actually really like this one, and it teeters on leather as well. So this is actually a great unisex scent, I think. Love this one. This one definitely grew on me recently. So the next one I have is actually a new discovery, Lotus Pear by the Seven Virtues. This one you've got top notes of pear and peach, middle notes of lotus, gardenia, orange blossom, jasmine, and rose, and base notes of geranium. And despite all of the notes, this is a very sweet scent, but again, the fruit is very like fresh smelling. The pear in this one is so good. It smells very realistic, and I think avoids being too like syrupy and thick. So it's got that delicate quality that I love in a fruit. Kind of suits the theme. It's like a fresh pear. This is the fairy that this one, she lounges at the pond and like just eats fruit all day. That's this fairy. She don't want to work. She don't want to do nothing. She just wants to eat some good fruit and like hang out by the water, hang out at the pond and smell the flowers. This is her. Oh, I really like this one. It is very sweet, but a good sweet, the perfect kind of sweetness. The next one I have is actually a Zara scent. It's Hipster Oud. This one is sweet. The sweetness to me is it is candy-like, but it's like Pop Rocks. That's what this smells like. It smells like Pop Rocks with a bit of oud, and it's got a little bit of warmth. Now, I added this one because I just immediately thought of something very light and delicate. I mean, Pop Rocks alone are magical, and when I smell this, I think of Pop Rocks. To me, that's like, it's magic. I mean, Pop Rocks are magic. In this one, you've got rose, amber, black currant, saffron, musk, oud, pink pepper, orange blossom, and lily of the valley. Yeah, I think there's just something so magical about the sweetness in this one. It's a very unique kind of sweetness, and that's why I added it to this list. So the next one on my list is Ode to Dullness by Juliet Has a Gun. Despite the name, to me, it's not dull. I don't think this scent is dull at all. It's got a very heavy woody facet. There's a powderiness, and there's anise in this one. I normally shy away from anise. I think the anise in this one is so good and so special. And it's not often that I like anise. For me, if there's something anise heavy, I almost never like it. But in this one, it's done so well. It's soft, it's feminine, and it's obviously magical because I like the anise in this. That's why it's magic, because I never like anise. In this one, I like it. That's not magic. That's a straight up miracle. So in this, you've got cashmere wood, sandalwood, star anise, and tonka bean. Yeah, it's a beautiful powdery wood with that special anise element that makes it unique. Some may think it is dull. I don't know. Obviously, that's what they were going for with this one, but I don't think it's dull at all. I think this one is very beautiful. It's very, very magical with the anise, and I love it. I love the wood in this. The wood is so soft. All right, the next one I have is Cosmic Sky by Anna Sui. This is another one that has a very strong wood facet, but it's a very sweet wood. This is more like heavy duty sweetness. It's a thick, syrupy wood. There's almost like a marshmallowy element to it, like a marshmallow sweetness, maybe like a flavored marshmallow or something on a stick, on a wood stick. I mean, you guys know how I feel about this one. I've raved about Cosmic Sky by Anna Sui before. Not just the scent, but the bottle. This is something a fairy would travel in if she couldn't fly, that is. Maybe she lost her wings and she's in physical therapy. This is what she would fly in to get around. This thing, beautiful bottle. So in this one, you've got top notes of bergamot and pear, middle notes of ambrette, apple blossom, and iris, base notes of white woods, brown sugar, and amber. I think I associate iris with fairies. I don't know why. Maybe it's the powderiness that it can often bring to a scent. This is a must try. If you like sweet florally woods, this is an absolute must try. Put this one on your list. Very inexpensive for how good this one is. It also lasts a long time, which is a $35 scent that lasts a long time. That right there is magic. Again, it's got that pear. Are you guys starting to see a theme here? It's got a nice, light, delicate, citrusy pear, but it's made heavy and marshmallowy by the ambrette in the middle. There's the powderiness from the iris, and then you've got that deep sweetness from the brown sugar on top of a nice plate of beautiful wood. Fairy campfire. That's what this is. There's no smoke though. Smoke-free campfire somehow. It's magic. The next one I have on my list is Babe Spirit by Missguided. This is a recent purchase, but I knew as soon as I smelled it, I had to add it to this list for sure. In this one, you've got freesia, green notes, sugar, cotton candy, watermelon, musk, and woody notes. When I first smelled this at the chemist, I knew I was going to get it as soon as I smelled it. This is what Jungle Fantasy should have been. This is what Jungle Fantasy by Britney Spears should have been. The greenness is beautiful. It's watery. It's a little bit fresh, but then the sugar and the cotton candy kicks in and it's sweet. It's sweet. It's fun. It's a delicate sweetness. I think the green notes help with that. And then you've got the watermelon. This is a good time in a bottle. This is the summer fairy. This is the fairy that comes around and you're dehydrated. She's there. She's there to save you. Give you watermelon. If you're overheated or dehydrated, this is the one who answers that call. This is such a good summer fragrance. I'm so excited that I have this and I love wearing it. Downside is it doesn't last super long, but again, these are pretty cheap. I don't expect much from these Missguided scents. I'm spraying it on me. Guys, these nails are like, I can't do anything. Oh, this is another one. You gotta smell this one. It does have a strong green facet. I think it's beautifully balanced with the cotton candy and the watermelon. This is a great one for summer. Get it now before summer comes. Or maybe you're going on spring break. Get this one. The next one I have is Eternal Magnolia by Zara. It's another Zara scent. A lot of these spoke to me when I was doing this video, okay? In this one, you've got top notes of pear blossom and red berries, middle notes of frangipani, magnolia, jasmine, gardenia. So you've got a nice bed of florals there, and base notes of sugar and patchouli. Even though there's no like wood or green facets to this one, I think I included this because of the beautiful balance between the top notes, the initial spray. So you've got the red berries and the pear blossom. Now, I think this one is super sweet, so be warned. I think berry sweetness, like any kind of like slightly tart sweetness, is perfect for this theme. So you wouldn't love this one if you don't love super sweet scents, but there's something about the fruit, the red berries, that make me feel like it just belongs in this category. I think I've said this before when I first bought it. It's similar to Gorgeous Gardenia by Gucci. Maybe that one's a bit lighter and more floral, and it's not as sweet as this one. This is Tinkerbell. That's what this is. The next one I have on my list is Badee Oud Sublime by Lattafa. I sneak peeked that I was doing a full comprehensive review on all 4 of these Badee Ouds, including maceration. I will give you a sneak peek of this one. I do like it. The reason why I picked this one is, well, first of all, the fruit in this one is so good. I love the fruit in this scent. In this one, you've got apple, lychee, and plum, and then you've also got rose in the top. So just when you think the fruit is getting a little too sweet, that rose kicks in and makes it a little bit more dusty and waxy. So you're not getting like a sharp fruit note. I love that about this scent. I find that a lot of people compare this one to Kayali's Eden Juicy Apple, I think it is. That one is very much like apple. That is apple. It's like very sweet apple juice, but this is not. The fruit in this one is, I think it's better blended together. There's not one fruit that kicks out as much, and the rose keeps it from being too overpowering. I think it does such a good job of countering the overwhelming sweetness from the fruit, and the moss gives it like an earthy element, which I love. I love moss. I love when these fruity scents have moss. It adds such a unique greenness that it just, I think of a forest. So you've got a sweetness from the fruit, and you've got moss and patchouli in the base. Oh yeah, this is definitely a fairy. This is what a fairy smells like, no doubt about it. Love this one. The next one I have is another Zara scent. Don't come for me. Zara has really good scents. You can't argue with me. The next one I picked is Pansy Orchid by Zara. I'm obsessed with this scent. This is absolutely magical. You've got a forest. It's freshly rained. There's moss. The moss is wet. The sun is peering through the trees and it's shining its light on a beautiful bush full of red berries. That's what this smells like to me. I love the moss, the duality of the sweetness from the berry and the earthiness, the really clean, watery earthiness from the moss. It's so good. It's exactly what I think a fairy would smell like, or at least a fairy would enjoy. This is like probably one of the best ones I think that suits a fairy. It's got a simple scent story, and it's so fresh. It's so like fresh, and it's a bit bright, but not too bright. So it's still, you've still got that nice earthiness from the moss. This is such a good one. This is definitely one of Zara's better scents that I've ever smelled, for sure. And I don't know if it's trying to dupe anything. I think they just did their own thing with Pansy Orchid. So I'm gonna be really sad when they stop making this one. It smells magical. It's absolutely magical. I love it. Another one I highly recommend you get to Zara and get your hands on before they're gone. All right, guys, those are all of my picks for this video. What scents do you associate with magic and fairies and maybe a magical forest? Maybe in this theme, maybe I was thinking a bit more broadly, not specifically a fairy, but more of like a magical forest. These are the scents that I think of and come to mind when I think of a world like that. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you try some of these scents. I always enjoy your feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. What do you guys think of my nails? I did these for you guys.